Can we stop saying, I'm so lucky, or I accidentally fell into this business when it comes to talking about our successes? Okay, my powerhouses, I have had way too many conversations lately when I have heard women say, oh, I'm so lucky because fill in the blank. And so the reality is luck is for lottery tickets and slot machines. But when it comes to you selling out a boot camp or thriving in your business, having a huge company with customers that keep coming back because you deliver an exceptional product and service, or you're just really good at what you do, that is not luck. That is consistency. That is trusting the process. That is showing up every single day, even when you feel like there is zero movement, even when you're not sure if what you're doing every day is going to pay off. But you kept showing up for yourself. You kept believing. You kept doing the things that you knew eventually would move the needle. And then they did. And that's not luck. That is your brilliance. It is dedication, discipline, and importantly, it's a whole shit ton of grit, right? And so I would really love to stop normalizing that expression because it's just not fair. It's not fair to yourself, but then what about all the other women listening to think to themselves, man, she's lucky versus all of that shit that's under the iceberg that we don't talk about, right? It's not that she's lucky. It's that she was willing to do the things that most people aren't willing to do on a daily basis. And that typically includes getting really uncomfortable. It typically includes doing what's unpopular versus doing what's popular. And often that is feeling a little bit isolated, feeling a little bit lonely, and hearing a lot of naysayers, and I think that most of you listening to this who are entrepreneurs and run a business can attest to the fact that, number one, it can be very lonely because often people do think we're a little bit, and I mean, arguably we are. However, it's not always a fun, smooth ride, especially when you do feel like you're riding this wave alone. And many of us do absolutely have a great support system. But if we do have a great support system now, it doesn't mean that that was always there as well. Often we go through this journey and have different seasons. And I've talked about this on earlier episodes of which you have to navigate finding the right support system, finding the right circle sometimes, especially as you grow and develop and become maybe somebody slightly different than you were before, or you're chasing these wild ambitions and people in your life before weren't. And it's not that they're bad. It's not that you need to stop talking to them. It's just that it's important to be surrounded by people on your frequency and people that can continue to push you up and out of your comfort zone and believing in you maybe before you believe in yourself. And so I just wanted to take a quick minute to talk about that. And next time you say, I'm lucky, pause, take 5 and reframe that and celebrate what you've accomplished because of all of the work that you have put in beforehand. Okay. And then the second part of this is I had said, oh, I accidentally fell into this business. Like, no, you didn't. I didn't accidentally become a financial advisor. And I'm calling myself out a little bit on this because I used to say both of those phrases all the time. And number one, I may be lucky in a sense that I was born in America with a lot of opportunity. However, I've worked my ass off to get to where I am today. Countless hours, 100-hour work weeks. Using everybody who stood against me is like this fuel to accelerate. But when somebody said to me, oh my gosh, that's amazing that you're doing this, or I can't believe you've accomplished this, or you're successful, I wouldn't say, thank you. Yes, I am. I would say, I know I'm so lucky. And that's bullshit. Now, The other part is the like, oh, I accidentally fell into this. And so the reality is that I could easily say I accidentally fell into being a financial advisor because that wasn't my initial journey or dream as a little girl. Let's be honest. I don't know any little girl who like dreams of being a financial advisor when they're older. However, I went to college. I worked full time during college. One of those gigs was working for a financial advisor. When I got accepted to the MSWJD program through a university locally, the University of Buffalo, I had like this colossal meltdown. And I was like, man, I don't actually think that's where I want to go. And so I had a conversation with my boss at the time, who was a financial advisor, and he walked me through, number one, where I'd be putting myself financially if I went through with that degree, the income I'd be making in the world of financial hurt I could potentially be in upon graduating. And second to that, he's like, Nicole, like, what do you like to do? And we talked about that. We talked about what fuels me, what lights me up, and really what I'm passionate about. And the underlying common denominator between where I was headed and what I was currently doing or had the potential to do as a financial advisor was helping people, making an impact. Like through and through, that is what lights me up. And I just wanted to make a difference. A huge part of why I wanted to be a social worker and potentially a family attorney was because I wanted to make a difference in the lives of other women and families that were similar to the life that I lived, but change their story, right? And so it just so happened that becoming a financial advisor was very much in alignment with all the things that I wanted, and I just didn't know it. And so that was not accidental. It was me tuning in and listening and deciding to make a pivot at a very young age toward the thing that I thought would be best for me at the time. And that's all she wrote, of course. I got licensed, I dug in, and here we are over 12 years later, 13 years later. That's how it happens, you know? But I used to say, oh, I accidentally fell into this because I was working for a guy and then I just became an advisor. Like, nope, it was a lot of really, really hard work. I had to study my tush off. Not to mention the fact that I was so broke when I was becoming a financial advisor that I was like also simultaneously studying for my MBA. I was doing admin work as an advisor so that I could pay for health insurance and get Wi-Fi and like all these things that it's like, man, number one, I don't know how the hell I did it and operated on zero sleep for so many years, but thank God I was young. And now I'm so glad I trusted my gut. Even if when I was younger, I wasn't that confident, I trusted intuitively what direction I should go on, and I followed that path. And there have again been a few women that I've talked to lately, and actually one that I interviewed on the podcast. And if you hear this one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But she said, I accidentally fell into this business of creating and converting my artwork into wallpaper. And she's got this massive global multi-million-dollar company. And I was like, wait a minute. This was not an accident. You busted your butt through trial and error for 10 years before you decided it was finally time to take this and convert it into a scalable company, you know, and she paused and she said, you know what? You're right. And so it just comes down to often how we can quickly discount the work that we put in, and we don't celebrate it enough. And I think that's really critical. It's important to celebrate our wins. It's important to remember how badass we are so that the next time an opportunity comes up or it's in front of us and we're questioning ourselves whether or not we're capable or good enough to do it, you're more likely to be inclined to say yes because you know, without a doubt, you can absolutely handle it, even if you're scared. Being scared is totally normal. It's a human trait. But what is important, that you don't forget how badass you are and don't let that fear hold you back from moving forward. Do it scared, my powerhouses. So until next time, continue to be courageous.